Okay, excellent. Well, I'm thrilled to have Dr. Templeman to actually share some of the education, and actually Fred and I will talk about it because we've all been on the leading research of why we changed the bone formulation and for wellness, number one, and also for your business model. And what Zango does is we lead with the newest research. And as many of you are well aware, with calcium, it's so important to balance that calcium with magnesium and vitamin D3 and some of the other ingredients that we have done. I encourage each of you you can actually Google her or download the book. It's called The Magnesium Miracle. It's called The Magnesium Miracle, and she's a naturopath and also a physician, just like Dr. Templeman. And her name is Dr. Carolyn, Carolyn, and she has actually been doing a lot of the leading research for women and also for men, because we know if men get too much calcium, they can certainly get kidney stones. Too much calcium without this great balance of vitamin D3 as well as magnesium can lead actually to more poor bone health and osteoporosis. So I'm just thrilled to have Dr. Templeman on. We were together in France, and Dr. T was translating for me, Ray, and all those great meetings we had with your brand new premier, Mado. And so let's get started. So, Fred, let's talk about bone health, why it's important.
Well, Beverly, without being ridiculous, if we didn't have bones and a good skeleton, we'd all be puddles of flesh on the floor.
I know it.
They play many roles in the body. They provide structure, they protect organs, they anchor muscles, they're the anchors for sinew, and therefore involved in all of our mobility. And they store calcium. That's where the majority of the calcium in the body, calcium being a very important basic electrolyte, it is important to be able to have an adequate supply that you can go to when your calcium is low. You can mobilize it from bone, and bone is dynamic. It certainly does not have the longest dwell time in the body. That means the tissue that stays around for the longest. Bone is constantly being taken down and dissected, if you wish, by little cells called osteoclasts. And it is being built at the same time by osteoblasts. And if you think about one of the structures in nature that is just absolutely the most solid that you can possibly do, it's a termite hill. And the reason why the termite hill is so solid is because it's virtually hollowed out in the middle with nothing but struts and arches, and they constantly change them. And that's the way bones remain strong and dynamic. Now, most of our bone growth, of course, takes place when we are young, but the building up and the laying down of the destroying of old bone and the laying down of new bone is a process that takes place full throughout life. And it's important because when it doesn't happen properly, or in the case of postmenopausal women, when some of the hormonal support for growth of bones is withdrawn in the form of estrogen, then we can be at risk for a very serious condition called osteoporosis. Now, if you think osteoporosis just means not strong enough, and osteo means bone. So osteoporosis is a situation where the bone actually thins and where it becomes brittle. And so that is how my mother, for example, was getting out of bed at 92 and stepped on the floor and fractured her hip just from coming off the side of a bed. And that was directly due to osteoporosis. Now, there are a lot of medications out there, Beverly, called biphosphonates that are being pounded by the MD to try and strengthen bone. And what they do is they block the osteoclasts. In other words, the little cells that are going to be breaking down bone so that it can be renewed, they block that. And therefore, there is an increase or preservation of body mass, but the bone is not healthy bone. And in several studies, the actual incidence of fracture has not been reduced at all, even though we have this tremendous drum that suggests medicine is beating for that. So, osteoporosis is a condition that can cause bones to thin and to be brittle and to break, not only in women, but also in men. But it is usually a process that begins as you age and as there are hormonal changes and dietary changes. And by the time we're in our early 30s, we have built up what is called our bone storage. And from that time on, it's downhill in terms of the total bone mass. When we get into our late 30s and into the 40s, 50s, and upward, we are losing bone mass. And in a study that was done in Israel, where they were looking at a number of the elements that are being used as dietary supplements to be able to prevent osteoporosis, the addition of magnesium, and as little as 250 milligrams per day, made a big difference in the test group. And in the group that was the control, in other words, who did not have adequate magnesium, they lost 1% of their bone mass per year.
Right. Well, Fred, I didn't realize that the magnesium stimulates the hormone calcitonin, which helps to preserve the bone structure by drawing them out of the blood and soft tissues back to the bones. And as saying, that action helps to lower the likelihood of osteoporosis, some forms of arthritis, heart attack, kidney stones, etc., through the research that we have. And we have a lot of good research for anyone on the call that would like it. But let's move. So Fred, what really affects bone health? Let's get into some of those, the basic things that we do for healthy lifestyle, actually. Such as I saw you doing in the French airport, physical activity, going up those stairs. I was so impressed.
Well, as you build up your body mass as a young person, it has a great deal to do with the intensity of exercise. And we know that young children and certainly younger adults are usually more active. And it's the weight-bearing, the resistance exercises that sometimes people do in the gym that actually builds bone mass. Now, you also have to have everything that is required in appropriate amounts, because you have to have calcium, obviously. Hydroxyapatite is a form of calcium that kind of goes into bones, but you also have to have magnesium, and the ratio of 2 to 1, which everybody has been thinking is ideal, recent science says that's not ideal. And so that's amongst the other reasons why we've changed this. So you need to have a good amount of calcium, magnesium, and other bone-promoting ingredients in your diet. For example, boron, folate, some vitamin B. Women are at a greater risk of osteoporosis because they have less bone tissue than men. And if you're a small woman, if your body mass index is less than 19, then you're at a greater risk as well. African Americans, because race matters, African Americans have a greater bone mass than Caucasians and Asians, for example. Hormone levels matter, and as I mentioned, when you're postmenopausal, you lose something. And medications, we don't very often think of medications. But quite frankly, virtually every antibiotic, all the water pills used for blood pressure, most of the other kinds of pills used for blood pressure, corticosteroids, oral contraceptives, ulcer medications, antacids, they all delete the amount of calcium and magnesium that we require. They waste calcium and magnesium. And so it becomes important that you have everything that you need as you grow and as you continue to turn over your bone. Right.
Well, let's talk. Of course, as we do know that what we can do to keep our bones healthy, but let's talk about the role of vitamin D because it's something that you and I have. Because I don't get in the sun and don't get it naturally, as much. Let's talk. The importance that in our particular formula, your body needs vitamin D not only to absorb calcium, but if you don't have vitamin D, the enzymes metabolizing vitamin D require magnesium. And so that's why this formula is so wonderful, for that. I know in years past I would get toe cramps, leg cramps, Charlie horses, things like that, especially flying and not enough water, but I found out my vitamin D levels were low. And so let's talk about that in this particular formula.
Well, in the case of vitamin D, we're making recommendations. I believe that everybody take this along with the 365. And I was very pleased a couple of years ago when the company stayed on the cutting edge and changed the formulation of their 365 vitamins in order to get ideal amounts of vitamin D. You were amongst the first of any large company to put as much vitamin D3 as you did. And it makes all the sense in the world because D3 is not only involved in bone health, but it's a hormone. And if you don't get enough of it, and in most bone preparations they have only a whiff, and so you have inadequate amounts of magnesium, you have far too much calcium, and you just do not have some of the other things that really do make a difference, like vitamin D. And most of people who have heart disease are low in vitamin D. It's quite common. Almost 40% of the population can be low in vitamin D. So making a bone preparation that does not take vitamin D3 into consideration is just not wise.
Right. So, and I loved what you said about the mineral balance. It's so important. I mean, obviously we know with the exercise daily, eat lots of vegetables, nuts, seed, and then magnesium that we have balances the absorption perfectly, for our bone health. So let's talk a little bit about why. I mean, there are many reasons of why the Precis Bone Health was reformulated. Number one, not many people could swallow it. Not many women I knew anyway. But and why we created this, which is also, it's so important for muscle health too and the absorption. But really why it was reformulated.
Well, it was reformulated largely because of some of the work. As you mentioned, Dr. Carolyn Gaines is perhaps the preeminent researcher into the use of the body by magnesium. And amongst other things, she indicates that the common wisdom, which would have a ratio of 2-to-1 calcium to magnesium, is not ideal. And she has excellent proof that we need more magnesium. And you mentioned that magnesium was useful for so many things. It participates in over 200 enzymatic reactions that go improperly in the body if you just do not have enough magnesium. So having something out there that does a better job is what I would think most companies would do. When you find out that science has moved this way, then you follow science. You don't persist simply because you have a product to remain with a product that is no longer cutting edge. And so that's why we reformulated. And this time, again, we've made certain that we have all of the other elements that are in there, and I'll go through them at the end, that do make a difference in bone health.
So it's just frightening to me how many, if you walk into many stores, etc., but you see only calcium supplements, as you said, and that's really creating more osteoporosis that don't have this delicate balance of the D3, the magnesium, the boron, and then, of course, I love ours because it's so easy to consume. You can just mix it in water or put it in your smoothie, or I love it in a hot. I love to just sip a hot cup of it. I'm not as crazy about it cold, but that's my own personal choice. But a lot of people like to, you can mix it in your smoothies too. You can take it. I love to take it in the evening because it also gives me that balance with the magnesium, especially if I've been on my legs all day or don't get those leg cramps or foot cramps, which is interesting.
Magnesium is known as the feel-good mineral. It has a direct impact very rapidly, even though most magnesium is not in the blood and it's harder to be able to measure things. But 80% of people who do get their magnesium measured in North America are deficient. And so when you take an adequate amount of magnesium, you're doing so many different things for your body, in addition to making sure that you're going to be absolutely protected, if you can be, against osteoporosis. Now, 1,200 milligrams of calcium per day is what is being recommended for women after 50 and for men after age 70. That's far too much. I saw my old patients with pieces of calcium that have precipitated out in soft tissue. I guess the best example of that would be kidney stones, which are usually calcium-based and are there because the calcium cannot be absorbed, and when it just keeps going through the kidneys, it precipitates out, and you end up with kidney stones. And it's interesting, I used to have kidney stones until I got on the mangosteen many years ago, and I haven't had one since.
Wow.
But we're learning so much about what is required, and the absolute balance that is in this new product is on the cutting edge of what the greatest experts in the field recommend. And if you go and compare it to labels in the market out there, you will see that it's very, very different from the majority of things that people would pick up thinking that they were doing the very best thing they could for their body and preventing osteoporosis.
Yeah. Right. Now, one of the things that I do know about magnesium, too, and you might want to speak of this, I do ask people, just be aware of your body, because if you are not accustomed to this balance, it may have an effect in the beginning, like the detox.
That's correct.
which is just so people are aware. But what it is doing, in my opinion, because you do have, it's necessary for over 325 enzyme systems in the body that controls thousands of chemical interactions. I believe it just balances out. I don't have that experience, but I have some people that may not be as in good health as I am, and they do have that. So I think it's just listening to your body and being aware. But I love it. I absolutely love this new formula.
And the formula has the form of magnesium that is best tolerated and absorbed. It's difficult to absorb magnesium, but magnesium citrate is the best form, and that's what you put in here regardless of cost. So when you talk about the benefits of magnesium, and there are books out there, as you mentioned, that I think people should look at, you realize that even if you're a man, this is a supplementation, in addition to your 365, of a good amount of magnesium for the benefits, the multiple benefits that magnesium confers.
Right, I know. It's just that everybody needs milk commercial drives me crazy because there's no magnesium in it whatsoever.
That's right.
It's just frightening how that mass media has taken that over. But so let's talk a little bit about the other key ingredients that we have in the Precise Bone Health, Dr. T.
Sure. Well, the calcium goes without mentioning, except that it's in the appropriate ratio. Magnesium, as I suggested, we have the best form of magnesium, the most absorbable form. And as you've talked about, it has just so many functions in the body. We have vitamin D3, that if you take your 365 and you take your bone health, you're getting well over 2,000 international units per day, which is great. Thiamine, riboflavin, and folate, and B12 are all B vitamins, which are extremely important for the synthesis of collagen. In other words, the framework of the bones that they have to be depositing the calcium on. It's very important that you have adequate amounts of those, and so we have about 50% of the daily requirement in there. Boron. Boron preserves calcium and magnesium. In many studies, they measure the loss of calcium and magnesium from the body in urine. And when you supplement with small amounts of boron, because we're not talking about huge amounts, they're micrograms, but when you take, as there is, 50% of your daily requirement in your bone health, then you're going to minimize the loss of calcium and magnesium through the urine and maximize the utilization of it for many of the other things that it does. Now, vitamin B12 is a special case. As you get older, unfortunately, we really can't absorb it all that well, but it's extremely important, as I suggested, for connective tissue synthesis. And folate, another form of vitamin B, is important because it decreases the blood levels of an amino acid called homocysteine that is associated with cardiac problems and also with osteoporosis. So even though the amounts are small, they're all there, everything that you need. And then, of course, we have mangosteen powder and beet juice.
Yep.
Real antioxidant wop, because when you take a look at the process of osteoporosis, it is like so many nasty situations in the body driven by inflammation. So providing an additional amount of mangosteen and beet juice powder, which as we know is one of the substrates for nitric oxide, you're going to be putting a tremendously powerful antioxidant blend at work for you in this process of preventing osteoporosis.
Right. And I love how easy it is. You can just drink this and, mix it in. I like it in hot water personally. I've also mixed it, as I said, in my smoothie and otherwise, but I prefer it for me. And that's what I love, how we take it. The new formula, it comes in a canister. It is perfect to drink, easily absorbed. You don't have to worry about swallowing what I call horse pills anymore. You're getting that beautiful balance. I'm so grateful for Zango changing this formula and taking the leading research. And thank you, Fred and Dr. Morton, for your added research on this to, ensure that it was truly the best blend for us, so that vitamin D3 and the magnesium and the calcium, because it's so important for muscle health as well, and to protect men and women from kidney stones, etc. We've got to have that balance with your D3 and your magnesium. I love it. Woohoo! Anything else, Fred, you'd like to add before we, I know we've got some wonderful, Kelly's got some great business offers and packs on this new bone health.
Well, the only thing I would say, Beverly, is that I encourage people as they walk in the aisles of the stores, whether it's a drugstore or whether it's someplace that sells en masse, take a look at the labels of the bone health, and you then compare it to this one, and you'll realize this is very different, and cutting edge. If you go to the research on PubMed and you look for substantiation for the ratios that we have and for the content that is in there, you will find nothing lacking, and it's there appropriately. A lot of research went into the development of this formula.
It really did, and I think I'm so very grateful for Gina Anson and the development team and the other scientists that helped us, because this, as you said, we chose a more expensive form before health and for absorption, and people will feel and see the difference. In fact, when I read this book, I thought, oh my gosh, when she talks about the importance of that balance of improving mood, as you said, the happy mood, memory, stroke, obesity, risk of heart disease. I thought, are you kidding me?
Insomnia. If you're low on magnesium, serious insomnia can result.
Yes. So I am so very grateful, because I believe in this formula, and I have been supplementing extra with magnesium because we didn't have it in the balanced levels that we have also with our vitamin D3. And so thank you, Fred and Dr. Morton, for your added insight and your willingness to go the step further and do that extra research. And when Gina was at one of the nutritional conferences for all of the scientists, she actually, I think, met Dr. Dean, or was actually shared about, she was lecturing because she's a woman, and she had to go up against, as you said, this was old years and years. So it's old research.
Yeah, interestingly, her credentials are very impressive. She is not only an MD, but she's also a naturopathic doctor of medicine. So.
Yes. And I don't think the original French doctor, when he did it, he never said that it was, that he warned that the 2-to-1 was never to be exceeded in calcium and magnesium. Unfortunately, it has. But so thank you. Woo-hoo. I'm just thrilled about this formula. We will just get healthier and build our business. It'll be easier for many of you to share. It's such an important nutrient and so easy now to take and priced at a good price. So thank you, Fred. Appreciate everything.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Now, I think, Ms. Kelly, you have some great announcements to share with us on the 2-pack of the bone, our very newest Precise Bone Health. It's so easy to just mix in a nice cup of a hot mug of water. Share with us what you have.
Okay, yes, I have a few things I need to go over. First of all, I will go over the promotion that we have it's just exclusive for the callers that are on here, because actually we don't even have it available quite yet. It'll ship out next week. So just for the callers on here, you can get a 2-pack of the Precise Bone Health for $56, 50 PV, and you save $10. So from calling in from now until tomorrow at midnight, for you callers, you get the exclusive 2-pack. It'll ship out sometime next week. So you guys are the lucky ones to get that. The item code is 113122. Just call in the customer service and they'll go ahead and order that for you. So a good savings there. Also, these calls are phenomenal. We've been having some really good feedback on them, Beverly. Each time we get a higher amount of callers, and everybody's excited to learn about it. And we've actually decided that we're going to add a little section, maybe 5 to 8 minute section of some business tips. And so we'll have some experts on here just giving some different direction or some different things that are working for people in the field, and just do a quick little business tip thing. It's been in high demand and asked for, so we'll be starting that next week as well. So these calls just got more exciting, actually. So anybody who's on them, make sure you get everybody else on them. And another thing I wanted to mention, too, is our convention. We are selling tickets like crazy. People are having promotions for the tickets and coming to convention, and our numbers are climbing. We want to remind everybody to go ahead and reserve your hotels. You want to start reserving them now, because we only have a certain amount and a certain amount of time to do it. So start reserving them now, because we can't guarantee them later or the price. So we have, it's all on our website, and you can pick from any of our wonderful hotels that we have there at our wonderful prices. So do it now.
Kelly, I would like to add to that. I make sure that everyone that you know on your teams get them registered now, because Gordon and I and Joe, Dr. Templeman, Dwayne, Dyer, we were all just in Europe, and then I hit it to Russia, and I took a suitcase full of paperwork for the visas, and it is so important for all of you. I mean, we have so many now that have signed up from the international. So, Kelly, you were right. Get those tickets now and get your hotel reserved. I always loved what Bob Schmidt said. I want to see a show of hands. Who has their air ticket? If you don't have it, you're not serious about your business.
That's right. So we, our international coming in and taking those hotels. So here in the United States and Canada, get them reserved. It's very important, or you may not get one. And then one more thing that I wanted to mention really quick is on our website at Zango.com, we have our Zango Awards that for you in the field to nominate. We have a humanitarian award, we have a Founders Award, and we have a Chairman's Award, and we want you guys to nominate who your favorite distributor or what distributor you think is worthy of these different awards. So if you go on Zango.com, it's on one of those front buttons there called Zango Awards. So go in and nominate your distributor who you think is worthy of it. So that's about what I have.
Okay. Is Gina in the room?
She's not.
Okay, I just want to go over. I just got a text. I'm sorry I can't read my text because I'm using it for the conference call, but I think Art, you had sent a text in asking. It is in a canister, and there is a scoop in it, so it is very similar to when we launched Limitless and, of course, Ignite. It first came in a canister. As many of you know, I mean, the reason I love this bone health formula is because it's safe for both men and women and very, very balanced, and you're going to see just an overall difference in your wellness, your vigor, and everything. So it's about a 30-day supply, and you just add 1 scoop and 6 to 8 ounces of water, depending on your taste buds.
So really
from there.
Super easy.
Yes. Very easy, and I love it, and I'm so very grateful that we went that way because it's consumable, and at this price with a 50 PV, you can also add it to your ADPs for your business, which is so important as you, and we can also, work on some different business packs for all of you in the future. You'll see a difference. You really, really will. And if someone I've noticed with women especially, Dr. T, you had mentioned the amount of hormone activity that the magnesium blend has with the calcium, so important. I found if some people are stuck, if they just supplement with that, it also assists them if they've hit a plateau. It's just amazing, especially with the hormones in the body, how it assists the body to shed other stuff. But I'm excited about the business tips. I would just like to share one thing with you that I was rereading a poem and remembered the movie Invictus. I don't know if many of you know what Invictus is, but Invictus is a Latin term meaning unconquerable or undefeated in Latin. And what I love about it is, and many of you know this quote very much from the poem that was written by William Henley, but you are the master of your fate, and you are the captain of your soul. From your business, what you choose to do with your Zango business, how you use these amazing leading-edge formulas to supplement not only to bless your lives, your business builders' lives, focusing. Remember, my friends, that we are all responsible for our own lives. No one can fix us, save us, or give us the answer. We create our own energy. So we love you. God bless you. We are building. I cannot tell you the amount of momentum that we're having in Europe and packed rooms and excitement. We've never had a packed room like we did in France and Belgium and Italy. And, of course, the CIS, we packed that room, standing room only, 2 days of leadership training. And, of course, there are meetings all across the United States and all around the world, and campus in South Africa at the same time. So we love you all. We are moving ahead. We are building. We are growing. And we are focused on huge, bold momentum, and we invite you to partner with us and keep growing. So God bless you. We love you. And have a beautiful evening, everyone. And take this brand new formula. You're going to love it, and it's going to make a difference in your life.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Beverly.
Thank you, everyone. God bless. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.